everybody, how you doing today? My name's Andrew.
I'm Matt.
I'm Pop.
I'm Aunt Becky.
I'm Calvin.
And we're some of the Veggie boys.
And girls.
And we'd like to thank you for stopping by. If you're new here, please consider subscribing because we can grow a lot of stuff on the farm, but one thing we can't grow is this channel without your help. Welcome back, everyone. It's so nice to see you. To get our day started off, we've already got the animals all taken care of and the chores back at the farm are done. To get ourselves started out here in the fields, though, we're fixing a big problem right away. As you can see, our first row of mulch has been completely blown over. And the reason that happened is we had a pretty freak thunderstorm come through the other day that took all the water right down along this ditch and it pulled off all the soil that we had on the mulch, so it just blew off. So right away, while it's not windy this morning, we're just trying to get this problem at least tacked down so that Daniel can come along with the plow and just put some more dirt on it. Oh, good. Now this washout we have here isn't the only problem that came along with that really bad storm. There was also a considerable amount of hail. Thankfully, where we are, we did not get hit too hard by hail. We did have some quarter-sized hail, and we also had some pea-sized hail. But one thing is, it doesn't seem to have damaged the plants too much, which we're very grateful for. And another thing is, we don't have too many crops being produced currently. So we were concerned about the sweet corn, but it looks pretty good. It doesn't seem to have too many problems. And we were concerned about our cucumbers, but we don't have enough cucumbers or zucchini to be affected by it. Now I have seen some farmers west of us, they've had some trouble, but thankfully we did not have any trouble. And if anybody did have trouble, I'm sorry to hear about that. That is not fun to deal with. We've got all our mulch put back into place. Daniel is gonna come along here with the plow and loosen up this soil. So we'll be able to throw some more dirt on that second row. But for now, this should be good. Moving on to our next job is gonna involve some picking. We have some cucumbers and zucchini that need to be harvested. So that is next on the list. Now, truthfully, we're not expecting to find too many. However, we have seen cucumbers in here, so we feel like it's a good idea to start searching. That way, if there are any nice ones, we don't let them go for too long, and then we lose out on the opportunity to harvest them. Since it's just the beginning of our cucumber harvest, there's a few things I'm trying to do. Number one thing is if any of these cucumbers are on the smaller side, I'm just leaving them because we'll be back to harvest them shortly. Another thing I'm doing is being as gentle as possible with the plants, because if I mess up these plants, well, there's the chance that they could stop producing. As we move on into the later part of cucumber harvest, these plants get all twisted up and beat up, and I definitely don't want to start that now. So we're being a little more delicate than normal, but that's okay, because if we can continue to get cucumbers that look like this, I'll take all the time I need. Wow, this has got to be one of my favorite things about vegetable farming. It feels like just the other day we were out here, we were doing some transplanting, you know, we were down here laying some mulch, and just like that, we're picking again. It's just so cool. The fact that we're able to experience this as a family is really cool, but the fact that we're also able to share it with you as a family is even cooler. Now, as we're picking, first and foremost, we're looking for cucumbers, but there's also something else that we're taking notice of, and that is the amount of blossoms that are on the plants and smaller cucumbers that are to follow. If we're taking orders, that's something we need to pay attention to, because next time that we pick, we need to make sure that we have enough to fill the orders. So for example, when I'm looking in here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 cucumbers on just this one plant that are gonna be ready to harvest within the next 2 weeks. And next 2 weeks is kind of a stretch. It's more like next week because these grow really, really fast. Now, while Dad and I were picking cucumbers, Matthew is harvesting some zucchini. How did the zucchini look?
They're not super big yet. There's gonna be a lot to pick there on Monday though.
Oh, good. Keep you nice and safe up in here. Put your seatbelt on, cucumbers, and we'll be good to go. That should hold them, I think. I've got a nice shady spot up here by the cabbage and broccoli that I'm gonna park. Try and keep everything cool. So from our first harvest of cucumbers, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 baskets, which is quite a bit for first harvest. And then we just about got the basket of zucchini. And this stuff looks really nice as well. As we all know, looking nice is half the battle. How does it taste? Oh yeah.
Dad, right? And start the right one. I thought
Oh yeah, that's good. When it comes to harvesting peas, we usually go through and harvest twice. So we get a bulk of the harvest the first time we go through now, but then the second time we go through, a lot of the peas that are smaller and unripe, like this one right here, are then harvested. It is a little painful to go through the field 2 times because it does take a long time. However, it's all on the goal of trying to have a clean, efficient, and complete harvest, because anything that is left on the vine will essentially be wasted. So we're trying to be particular as to what we take, because we don't want to let any of these younger peas get overripe and then they essentially get hard and bitter. But we're also trying not to leave any of the big ones there. So it's like a mix and mash of what you need to pick. And after you've been picking for a while, you start to learn what you need. You want to get everything with size, and all the smaller ones, hopefully you can get the next time.
You gotta take this stuff home.
Okay, well, it won't take me long.
Just like that, we got another 2 baskets of snap peas. We've been pretty productive so far this morning. A lot of stuff has been harvested, but we're not done yet. We're gonna run back to the farm market. We're gonna cool off, get something to drink, and we'll be back out here again shortly. Look at this. Look what we picked. Yeah, it's a cucumber. What do you think?
Good.
It's good. Callie is too busy eating peas to worry about cucumbers at this moment. We got all our produce moved into the farm market. That is cooling off. And then we spent a little time ourselves cooling off and getting something to drink. Now we are back out in the fields. We grabbed our fertilizer injector and our tank, and we're gonna be injecting fertilizer into all of our plants that we have planted on the drip line. So the plan is to irrigate into the afternoon, adding fertilizer while we irrigate. The fertilizer that we're gonna be using here is basically a mixture or a composition of a few other types of fertilizer. It comes out to either a 7-18-24 or a 7-19-24, so very similar. And the goal by adding all these minerals is just to increase our growth that we're seeing here in the field. These plants receive a lot of nutrients from the soil and from the sunlight, but the fertilizer that we're adding is going to give everything a little boost. It's going to be like a nice balanced meal for all of these crops that we have growing. And the fertilizer that we're using is a well-round fertilizer that is perfect for our needs and great for the soil conditions that we're dealing with. So when it comes to fertilizing your own crops, you have to look into that type of stuff. That way you can make sure that your plants get the best start and they have the best opportunities to grow. It does cost us a little bit to add on fertilizer, but the benefits far outweigh the cost for us personally. And as the year progresses, we'll be able to see that firsthand when we're carrying out buckets and buckets of produce. The boys are taking the side-by-side down over the hill to get the pump started, and soon enough we will be watering all these crops in this field right behind me and everything else that's on the drip lines. Uh-oh! Oh, we got a problem. What happened here? Did it break? Hold the phone. There's a good chance we could get wet here. Oh boy. Here we go. Uh-oh. Ah! Got it. It was a little scary. Scarier than it had to be. Now that we're all finished with working on irrigation, we are at the cole crops. We're gonna get picking some kohlrabi. Well, Dad's already picking it. We're gonna start snipping. And then after we get the kohlrabi all taken care of, we're gonna get working on the broccoli. So we're just gonna hop right into it. We're a little concerned about the weather at the moment because they're saying there's a big chance for us to be receiving some rain today, which would be nice because it is hot and it is dry. And I know the cole crops would appreciate it. Matthew is finishing up the kohlrabi. He's only got one more pile and then we're all finished with that. Dad has been harvesting broccoli the whole time we've been working on the kohlrabi, so I'm gonna get started on taking the leaves off of some of this broccoli. For early broccoli, this one's pretty good there. Just finished off the broccoli. Last thing we need is some kale. We always pick kale last because it cannot stand the heat. It does okay on the plant, but the second you take it off that plant, oh, it starts wilting really hard. Two beautiful baskets of broccoli. Gotta make sure it doesn't fall over on the way home. We just got all the vegetables moved inside and into the cooler. Let's see what Grammy's got for lunch over here. Looks like we're having sandwiches. And then we've got some fresh veggies all chopped up. And what are you doing over here?
Eating chips.
You're eating chips? And then what do you have here? Kohlrabi?
Yeah.
And some peas? Boy, it's like you have a whole meal here.
Who's eating kohlrabi?
She is. She loves kohlrabi. Right here. Show Trey. Show Trey. Take a bite.
You like it? Yeah, I bet you do.
You want me to open it up then, Paul?
Yep.
All right, I can do that. Whoa, look at that. That's wonderful. So we got all finished with lunch, and then we made our way back out here to the fields. We have a few lines here that we never hooked up. They're all in place, all good to go. We just need to hook the lines in. So we're getting that done now. We originally had planned to do some planting today. However, we're worried with how hot it is that it would legitimately just burn the plants. And what I mean by that is this plastic mulch that we have down is so hot that if any part of the new plants were touching it, it would legitimately burn them. And we don't want to end up just losing plants because of that. So rather than worrying about that, we decided we're just gonna hold off for now. As much as we don't want to, we feel like that's the safe move rather than losing any of our crops. So instead of doing some planting, we're getting these drip lines hooked up while we can and into place so when we do plant, we don't have nothing to worry about. We can just start watering right away. Now that all the water lines are hooked up, we just got to check for leaks. So I'm walking the entirety of the field, making sure there's no leaks. And once I get to the other end, I'll be tying them off. Oh yeah, here we go. This is what we're looking for. Got a pretty substantial leak here. And of course I don't have a connector on me, so Matt's gonna have to come down and fix this. But that's what happens sometimes. You get little nicks in the drip line like that, and it just starts shooting water all over the place. So we'll just leave that covered for now, put a rock on it. And then we'll have to come through and fix that. Now that hole's been there for a little bit longer, but you can see that causes quite the problem if you let that run for too long. Tighten that on the end, fold it up. We've got water basically all the way to the other end. We have 2 rows that are giving us trouble. They're working on the 1 row, and I'm walking the other row to find out where our problem is. I'm basically listening for if I can find any leaks or just looking for giant puddles of water. I found the problem for our last row. The pipe was literally just twisted underneath there, so I just had to turn it back around, and now there's water flowing. Dad just picked us up, and we got the boss with us. How you doing up there, Callie? She's just enjoying herself. She loves going for side-by-side rides. We were riding around with Callie for a little bit, and then we dropped her off at home, got her ready for a nap. And now Dad is back at the farm. He's working on something. I don't really remember. But Matthew and I are out here with our shovels because we got to cover up all this plastic mulch that's along here. Everywhere that the air could get underneath it and flip it and just pull it all up, we have to cover it with dirt. So it's gonna be quite a while. We'll update you once we're finished. Well, a lot happened there. We were able to get all of the plastic covered, and Matthew made himself a pair of shorts. Check that out. That's what happens when you hit yourself in the leg with a shovel and rip your pants.
Yeah, and then I was like, well, if the pants are ruined, I might as well be comfortable. So I made shorts.
Let me just say, shoveling in this weather is not fun. It is hot, but at least we have a slight breeze today. That is helping a little bit.
Well, at least that's what Dad always says when it's real hot out. At least there's a breeze.
We came home to find Dad and Daniel. Right now they're working on filling up some trays. We're gonna be using these for our last planting of cabbage, broccoli, and cauliflower. And yeah, can you believe it or not, it's time to get seeding these already. Yeah, I know, we're picking stuff right now, but we need to get working on our next planting. That's just the way it works.
We put it in the bucket?
Yeah.
Dad and Daniel got all the trays filled. Matthew and I got our seeder moved down here. We're just getting it set up. And some of you may be wondering why we're doing this down here. Well, it's a little cooler in this building. And in the germination greenhouse, it was 114 degrees. Damn, there was no way that was gonna happen. We got our first load of seeded trays that we're carefully gonna be bringing over to greenhouse number 5. We can't really put these new trays in the germination greenhouse. It's basically gonna cook them with how hot it is. And the sad thing is, every single greenhouse that we have, it's gonna be on the warmer side. But we're gonna be taking the trays and placing them directly onto the ground. It is hot in here, but hopefully being on the ground, it will be much cooler for these trays and we won't have to worry about them. First off, we have some red cabbage, Savoy cabbage, and kohlrabi. That's what Daniel carried over. And I have some cauliflower. We've been flying through the varieties, and at this point we're now working on cabbage. Currently, we're about to start seeding a variety called Megaton. If you've been with the channel for a little bit, you'll know that cabbage, but for those that are new, that's one of our favorite cabbages that we plant here on the farm, just for the overall good quality of the cabbage. We're gonna do a few trays of Megaton now, and then we'll be moving on to our next cabbage variety. Every single variety is a different day variety, which means it reaches days of maturity at different times. And the reason for that is so all our cabbage is not ready to harvest at one time, because that would be one big problem. We'd probably end up having to take all the cabbage to the auction, which our goal is to try and extend our harvest for as long as possible so that we could supply cabbage to the people in our local area for a very long time. You'll notice that trend here on the channel. We do that with many different crops, whether it's sweet corn, beans, we'll do that with peas, different types of tomatoes, different types of cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower. Come to think of it, we try and do that with almost everything. We do multiple plantings and multiple varieties to extend our harvest as long as we can. Dad is finishing up our last 2 trays, and then that's gonna be it for our final planting of cole crops. Just to give you an idea of where we moved all the trays to, we have this whole section filled right here in front of the greenhouse and right over there. Matthew's working on giving everything a drink, and then that's gonna be it for the day. While we were finishing up, Daniel got all the animals fed and taken care of, so it's been a very long, it's been a very hot, but it's been a very productive day. Hi, little Lily. Hi, little Ronnie. How you doing, buddy? Alrighty, everybody. We are now home. Joel and I are getting ready to hang out. He's got Corona, I've got Coors. We're gonna have a nice time. We just got some dinner. We got some Thai food. I'm really excited about it. And since we're all getting ready to eat, that means this is where we're gonna end the video today. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.